I can pray.
Thank you.
Our wonderful, kind, loving Father who art in heaven, Lord, you are worthy of our praise and our adoration. So grateful, Lord, for this Sabbath, for your love and the day that you have separated for us, that we may commune with you in fellowship with our fellow believers, brothers and sisters. And now as we continue on with this Sabbath, continuing to learn parables, Lord, we ask for your guidance. We ask that you will open up our hearts, our minds, and give us intelligence and make us understand what it is that you are teaching us. And may we do our part and be diligent in searching out the scripture in the way that is being taught to us, that we may understand and that we also might learn the rules and the methodologies, that we may continue to dig for the hidden treasures, the gems of your word, that we might delight in your presence always, for you are that precious word. In Yeshua's wonderful name we pray. Amen.
Just an extra praise that when we think about you guys joining us last year, look at all the steps that have taken. It's encouragement because I know Sister Anna is really new and wanting to understand. And you guys and a few others joined us in rescue a year ago, and you did your due diligence and you listened to the Lord and you keep up with everything, and so it's possible for all of us. With God, all things are possible.
Amen.
So I don't know, you guys are going to do this, right? But I don't know if you have her notes from last week, if that's what you're going to do. Okay, so you'll run them. Okay. Because we're going to work on the Hosea study that we started last week.
So you want to summarize, Mom? Probably get this stuff out of your way.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I picked up these chapters of the Bible, but I don't know anything about it. All I thought is that we do it together. So if anybody listening or is involved in this meeting and know the methodology and the steps we have to go through, you see that we're jumping all around, please stop us and let's do it right, okay? It's everybody's participation that's gonna make up this study, this parable. Also, I don't think we will be able to go verse by verse. It's just looking at the important points and understanding what's noise and what's important. And I don't know, I would have loved to put this on a line. Sometimes even Elder Parminder or Elder Tess, they start putting the lines from the end, going towards the beginning, so we can make a line and put on the line whatever we know, and then work it out that way. So
let's do it. We can start that way.
Yeah.
So what do you want to put on the line?
Backwards, you mean?
Yeah, if that's easier. But listening to one of the Uganda's presentation, Brother Parminder said about verse 1.
Chapter 1?
Yeah.
Hosea.
When it says in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, he said, this is the 4 generations. So what's the 4 generations for us? Is the 4 generation of Adventism, right?
So it was in the days of the 4 generations.
Yeah.
It was before 1989.
So in the days of these 4 generations, would you start with 1798?
No, because that's the time of the end. The 4 generations take you to the time of the end. The end of the 4th generation, the 4th generation is at the time of the end. So we could either put 1798 at the end of the line or 1989.
I thought that the fourth generation started in 1798 until.
No, actually, I think this is, when you go back to that thing I ran across a while back with James White, that James White was the fourth generation. So the first generation, doesn't the first generation begin, I want to say after 1844, but I want to say 1863.
This is
If anybody
Joel
remembers.
chapter 1. The fourth generation have destroyed everything, and so it's time for the people to be raised up to do it right. And in Ellen White's time, that was the Millerites, because the Protestants, all their message was eaten away by all the worms.
From 1863 to 1989.
But you have the fourth generation of Adventism.
And then they began the gathering again.
When God
1850.
married spiritual Israel.
Yeah, but that's not during the 4 generations. That's at the
No,
end.
it's you guys. I mean, anybody has any idea?
Where we start? Well, here's a thought where to start. We know that the whole context is the two sticks uniting.
Yeah.
Right?
So we go chapter
You
3.
could start where the two sticks unite and work backwards from there.
I don't know.
But
which
we don't know where
verse.
the 2 sticks unite. We don't know when that is. But if we are going to use the model of like 1863 to 1989, because Adventism fell off.
We're the fourth generation. James White was the fourth generation. So then you could, when they started the church, then you had 4 generations and we're the fourth.
Yeah, because if we're the 4th generation at 1989 in our line, that means in 1798 it had to be the same thing because it's the same reform line repeating. But they failed 1863, so I guess we could put this here tentatively. We'll just asterisk that, and then we can put 1989.
What I was thinking is that when Gomer, so she gets married and then she has a son.
Can
And
we do
that
that?
son is Jezreel, and his name means to sow or to scatter. So that son talks about this after he was born, talks about the scattering, right?
I thought it said to sow.
I found somewhere, I don't know exactly where now, it's either to sow or to scatter.
So it could
But
either.
because when you sow, you scatter, right?
Yeah, but that's a good type of scatter. That's not when you sow seed. So that would be 9/11, right? Because the seed is planted and springs up at our waymark of 9/11. You have the plowing 1989, but it can't be because this is in the 4 generations. So this is a really confusing. For a quick review, so you have Hosea, and Hosea has to marry this harlot, which is Gomer, and they have 3 kids. Well, they have 1 kid who's a legitimate kid, and then she has 2 illegitimate children who God says, you're not mine, go away, but one day you'll come back and be a part of my people. So we looked at the fact that there's kind of 3 applications going on here. You have the first is the literal what happens in Hosea's life, him and his wife and their children. And then the second is the spiritual, it's talking about Israel. And then the third is ancient Israel. And then the third is in our time. So that's where we were last week.
So when did God marry Israel?
Different places, bunch of, I don't know.
Isn't it back at Sinai?
Yeah, Sinai, ancient Israel, Sinai.
You made a covenant. Isn't that what marriage is? The covenant?
Yes. The covenant was made many times, but I'd say that's the first big time, yeah.
Feel free to speak up. It's a classroom, open for all. I've never done in-depth on Hosea. I just know that in the latter days, there's Israel coming back. The harlot and all that. I have basics.
Okay, how about this? If I'm allowed to give an idea.
Yes, you are.
Brother Phil, come with some ideas.
I'm, I've been praying.
Okay, what if we just read through chapter 1 real quick and see if anything stands out that we know where would fit on our waymarks on our line. Once I finally find Hosea. Isaiah, no.
Hosea right after Daniel.
Okay. So chapter 1, let's read and see if there's anything we know specifically where it would go on our line. The word of the Lord that came unto Hosea the son of Beeri in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, Go take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. And the Lord said unto him, Call his name Jezreel for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. And it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. And she conceived again, and bare a daughter, and God said unto him, Call her name Loruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and will save them by the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Now when she had weaned Loruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said God, Call his name Loami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. So Loruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel. So it says what they mean there. Isn't that what the meaning of the names is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Call her Loruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel. And call him Loami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. So it's Loami that's the one that you are not my people. Loruhamah means I'm not going to have mercy on you anymore. So yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, this it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sister Ruhamah.
That's chapter 2.
Oh, sorry. So I have a question. This is happening before the 2520, the first one,
Before 723.
before 723. Okay. So
This is what brings to 723.
yeah, this is talking
The-
about that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's put 723 here. And you have the last four. So I'll say this is Zedekiah, Jehoiachin.
You do it by who's in
No,
here.
no.
Do it first by who's
It's
in
a
here.
different ones.
The one at the end is Joash.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh wait, there's 5 actually mentioned if I remember right. Let's see, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. Those are the kings of Judah.
So it's at least starting with Uzziah.
Right.
So
And it ends with Hezekiah.
in their days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put the end of their days here, and we'll put Hezekiah. So this is the time period we're in right here. And then 723, there's a bunch more kings here before that happens. I don't remember how many.
Well, no, just Manasseh, if you're talking about Judah.
They're in Israel.
Right, but Hezekiah is the father of Manasseh. So there's only going to be Manasseh after Hezekiah.
Let me see. Let me see that.
Hezekiah is Manasseh's father.
So Hezekiah.
Aici, uite, Zacarias. This is Jeroboam 2 that he's talking about. So these are the four.
Yeah,
here.
because then
Is Hezekiah mentioned in there? Yeah, he is.
yeah,
It says kings of
Uzziah,
Judah.
Jotham, Ahaz, then
So
Hezekiah.
these four
Wait,
kings
wait,
of
wait, wait.
Judah are in this time when the kingdom is going down. See?
But no, Hezekiah comes after Israel has already been taken captive. Do you see that?
You look at the years.
I know. Look, follow along.
When does Hezekiah become king? Where does it say that?
716,
677.
716 to 687. He's after they get taken away. It's on here. Like you can see the lines don't even match.
Okay, so Hezekiah goes after the 723 mark is all you're saying then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means they're living right into the time going up to the scattering.
Right.
But look, Jeroboam that's mentioned, he is the first of the last four generations before they're taken. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, or these are in between. Now 7 generations. So,
I don't know, but it's not mentioning them. It's mentioning the kings of.
Who's before Hosea? Israel, Hosea. Is it Joash?
Hezekiah, which is Judah.
That's what I thought.
Israel is.
So where is this that this is being said? Because it says in those four kings of Judah, but then it also says because Jeroboam, that's Jeroboam too, like you said. They're the beginning.
No,
No.
Jeroboam 1 is
Not the beginning, but I'm sorry, the beginning, like,
Jeroboam.
yeah, the beginning of the line where we used to put the 7 thunders, and I think I asked that last week. Do we still do that? Yeah. That Jeroboam 2 was the beginning of that line,
The
where
seven
the second
thunders.
flock, because it meant second flock.
I still don't understand those studies. They were never clear to me. So
Yeah, that's okay. That's what it was just helping me remember where to place them.
So it's before that. See,
Well-
that's what I'm saying. It's before the 7th. It's no, because it's.
Because it seems to be giving you 2 different time periods with these kings.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because Hezekiah comes after Jeroboam on that line.
Jeroboam's way back before, because
Yeah.
Hosea is the end of it. Jeroboam's the beginning and Hosea is the end of it.
Why would it say that? So
That's
the,
why I asked I remember where Jeroboam is, but I don't remember the date, but I remember where he is.
the word of
It
the Lord
is
that came to
probably,
And is Joash after Jeroboam?
yeah, because the ministry of Hosea went from Jeroboam 2 to Hezekiah, right? He goes.
Where's Joash?
Because Hezekiah was, I think Hosea was in his 9th year in 723, and I want to say Hezekiah was like in his 6th year. But she's saying that he was not king until later.
So why is it saying Jeroboam is the son of Joash?
The other way around, I think.
The days of Jeroboam, the son of
Oh, the
Joash.
son of Joash, okay. Oh, okay.
And Joash is here. His father is here, and he's here.
There was a Joash. on the
Why
side.
would you say? Because they were not going by the fathers.
Yeah, and I was reading that wrong.
Oh,
Forgive me.
Jehoash is right there. Never mind.
Yeah, because there was one on each side.
I forgot. Okay, so
Well, maybe this might help because reading the introduction
Yeah.
actually does.
oh
help.
no. It matches. So Jeroboam matches with Uzziah. Actually,
Yeah.
their timelines on their match. That's why.
So Hosea belonged to the northern kingdom of Israel and carried on his ministry there. It says he reigns during the reigns during which Hosea prophesied are dated according to the tentative chronology used in this commentary. As follows: Uzziah was 790 to 739, Jotham 750 through 731, Ahaz 735 through 715, and Hezekiah 729 through 686. Kings of Judah and Jeroboam 2, 793 to 753, king of Israel. Hosea must have begun his ministry well before 753 BC and continued actively until sometime after 729 BC. It says he lived in the darkest period of the history of the kingdom of Israel, just before the nation was taken captive by Assyria. Since the book of Hosea makes no mention of this event, it is probable that it was written before the final ruin of the northern kingdom. Outwardly, Israel under Jeroboam II was prosperous and successful, more so than in any time since David and Solomon. Its northern boundaries were almost as extensive as those under these early kings. So this was before the nation was taken captive by Assyria.
There we go. Hang on, because everyone's hearing us talk about the kings. I just
So
wanted to
this
show
was
them.
before the destruction. Right before 2520.
So
So you learned roundabout ways to do something too.
I have to. What else? So you guys aren't left out. The picture that we keep looking at, there's this chart that has the kings of Israel and of Judah. So I hope everyone can see this. This is why we're able to figure out who's who and where's where. It's not that we're very smart at all. It's just that we have a picture to look at. If we sound smart, don't think that at all of us. Let me see, where's the zoom? So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Okay, so right now it says in here that it's during the time of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. That's the first part of the verse. These are the kings of Judah. And it says also during the time of Jeroboam, this is the king of Israel. And there, Hosea and them, they're in Israel right here. So this is Hosea. This is his little work that he did. So you can see him right here pictured, his little line of ministry. You have Jeroboam here, and you have Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. So they all correspond in this region. And they make the lines faded because no one knows exactly when the ministries begin, but we know it's in this general area. So this is what we keep looking at. So it's these four that we're trying to match and see where our line is. So since it says it's in the line, it's during these four kings, we know at the beginning of the line we can put Uzziah, and at the end of the line we could put Hezekiah. And at the beginning of the line, you also have Jeroboam here. So we have both of them across from each other. So that's what we're doing.
And the son of Jehoash, which is the one above Joash.
Joash, yeah, right here. So.
And it's leading up to, in these 4 generations of showing Judah, it's leading up to Hosea. And
Yeah.
This is what he's talking about when they're gonna.
I think someone has the ability to print these charts somewhere, don't they? You can buy them somewhere. That used to be where we got them from FFA, but I don't know who's selling them now.
This particular one, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a big chart that we got back in the day that we have on the wall.
She said thank you for posting on WhatsApp.
I'll try to take a better picture later and post it so if you can at least have it on your computer to zoom in on and look at. But I like it because it goes through that history, and you can see all the prophets here and where they were and when they were working. So all their lives and their ministries are on there, and it's a really good reference thing. So you have Solomon and then his 2 sons when they divided, and you have Judah and you have Israel. So here you can see Israel went into captivity first because their line ends here, and Judah went a little bit longer, and then Judah went into captivity because their line ends here.
And we learned why they go into captivity.
Yeah.
Because of disobedience to their boss.
Yeah. So their lines aren't even, well, in this time, no, stop taking me to. So right here, Hezekiah. So it's all the way into the time of Hezekiah in those days. So in this time period, I'm gonna switch back to
If you do share screen and hit the screen one on the top left-hand side, it lets you bounce all over the place without having to do that.
where?
If you back out of where you're at right now,
What do you mean?
stop share for a quick second. And now hit share. And on the top left-hand side, you have one that says screen. See where it says screen? Click on
Yes.
that one. Now, whatever you change on your screen will automatically show up without you having to. Yeah, I learned that one too, and I was really thrilled.
Nice.
I
Okay.
thought you knew that one, but
No, you teach me.
okay. I don't
Okay.
remember who taught me. I think it was Sister Lana.
So somewhere in here, is 723, where Israel. Yeah.
Now, when you say Israel, you mean the 10 tribes?
Yes, the 10 tribes,
Yes, okay.
the northern tribes.
Right, because the southern, well, Judah goes into captivity 677.
Right,
Right, okay.
under Manasseh, which was Hezekiah's son.
So why don't you put the 4 kings of Judah?
She has Uzziah and then she has Hezekiah. She just doesn't have the other two in the middle.
Yeah. And so, okay, here, what are the other two? Let me see that chart again real quick.
So look at one.
Uzziah,
No.
Jotham,
Jotham and Ahaz.
I need,
Ahaz.
hold on. I just want to know what time period Israel ends. So it's during the time of Ahaz that Israel ends. So Hezekiah is the last king. So it's after Ahaz started.
Yeah, it's Hezekiah. Hezekiah is,
No, I'm just wanting to put, so I can put, hold on. I just want to know where to put them on the line. So you have Ahaz. And then you have, during his time up until Hezekiah starts, in this time you have 723. And then Israel is captive.
are you pulling that off of there? Because I know that Hezekiah is king at the same time with Hosea. When Hosea falls. Where would I find that?
Yeah. No,
Because
no.
you have him after 723. He was there when
Who's Hosea?
So Hosea
one we're
reigns
reading
from
about.
732 to 722.
Hosea is the prophet. Hosea is the
Oh,
king.
yeah.
The king of Israel was Hosea when they fell.
So Hezekiah started in 716, goes to 687. So it cannot be.
Yeah.
They were
I don't know why I
already
had
taken.
those two. I knew Hosea was.
I'm not
prophet,
talking, Elaine, I'm not putting the Israel kings here. I'm putting the Judah kings.
Right. But Hezekiah was, you call it contemporary? I don't know if that's the word to use. He was king in Judah when Hosea was king in. And so I don't know about that chart, but in the Bible, he was king. Well, I'm trying to find it real quick. He was king while, maybe it's Chronicles.
Yeah, on here they do not have them king at the same time. Maybe it's considering Hosea king while Israel was tributary. But I don't think so.
Kings. Everybody, if anybody remembers where we're finding, we need to find Hosea's reign in the Bible. In the fall.
Is there a way?
Well, isn't it saying both? They're talking about the reign of both Judah and Israel, because they're talking about Hosea was in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, which were the kings of Judah, and means that in addition, while you have those kings as in that time period of them being kings of Judah, the days of Jeroboam where he was king of Israel. So Hosea was prophet while these kings of Judah, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah were reigning, and Jeroboam, the son of Joash, who was king of Israel. So he was during that whole entire period.
That's why we have them all on the line.
I know. So what is the problem?
The problem is right here, you have Hezekiah, but Hezekiah shows here that he starts reigning years after Hosea
but they're
already
reigning
ended.
at the same time.
But in the Bible, it says that they're reigning at the same time. So Elaine's trying to figure out where it says
Where
that.
does it say Hosea mentioned in here?
No, Elaine knows, she's read that the Bible
Oh.
says that
They
Hosea
reign
and
together.
Hezekiah reign at the same time. That's what
Anybody
she's trying
else
to find.
remember that? I'm trying to find it. Hezekiah in 2 Kings, chapter 20, when he falls sick unto death. Then you have Manasseh. It's got to be before that. 19. Because it's 2 Chronicles and also 2 Kings, but I'm trying to
Can you spell Hosea?
Hoshea, chapter 17. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hosea.
Ahaz. Got it. Yeah.
And then, but Hezekiah comes on the scene before.
Where does that say?
I'm trying to find it. I don't know, just somebody, maybe I have it wrong, but I was pretty sure they are at the same time. They overlap.
So I'm
I'm trying
guessing.
to find the fall of, if I can find the fall
Okay,
of.
well, this is what I have right here, Spirit of Prophecy. The feeble remnant of Israel continued the forms of government, though no longer possessed the power. Only one more ruler, Hosea, was to follow Pekah. The throne was tottering. Soon the entire kingdom was to be swept away, but God in mercy gave the people another chance to turn from idolatry. In the 3rd year of Hosea's reign,
There you
Hezekiah, this is what you found it?
Keep
go. No,
reading.
you keep
Oh.
reading.
Okay, but God in mercy gave the people another chance to turn from idolatry. In the 3rd year of Hosea's reign, Hezekiah came to the throne of Judah, and soon afterward, important reforms were instituted in the temple service at Jerusalem. As speedily as possible, Hezekiah arranged for the celebration of the Passover, and to this feast he invited not only his Judean subjects, but all Israel as well. He sent, is this
Where
talking
are
about
you?
Hezekiah with Isaiah being prophet at the time?
Yes, it does. It's
Yeah,
on the-
look, Isaiah has, look on the screen. Isaiah's been prophet from here all the way to here. So
They
he had all these
were
kings.
contemporaries, what you call them.
But what are you
So,
reading
yeah,
from?
2 Kings
Oh,
18.
I'm reading from Review and Herald 12, 19, 14.
2 Kings 18 is the verse she was reading. Now it came to pass
What's
in
the
the
month?
3rd year of Hoshea, son of
Paragraph
Elah,
6,
king of Israel,
February
that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz,
And
king
the
of
year?
Judah, began to reign. So it's in the 3rd year
1914.
of Hoshea that Hezekiah begins to reign.
Paragraph
2
6.
Kings 19,
18.
18.
And then I know as you go forward, it'll tell you it's the 9th year of Hoshea when they fall.
But Sister Elaine gave another resource. What's your resource?
2 Kings 18.
But that's the Bible. I thought it was yeah, but you can look at 2 Kings too. What is it? 2 Kings
18.
18.
And then in verse 9, it'll tell you, and it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hosea, the king of Elah. So, and it's the 9th year when they fall.
2 Chronicles 28, 27.
Yeah, that's Hezekiah.
So is there a discrepancy between the Bible and the chart?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Because on the chart, it's Hosea and Ahaz are contemporaries.
Yeah.
And if you go to Isaiah, you'll see that he was in the same time of those same kings, but he goes all the way to Manasseh.
See, Sister Elaine, your memory's not so bad.
Yeah. And you're always complaining, but look at you now. Why did I get back to,
I think this.
So who made
No,
this
the
chart?
16 can't be when he began reigning either, because he was reigning, he began his reign in the 3rd year of Hosea. And Hosea, well, you just have, you know what, you can back it out and know that Hosea falls I don't want to get technical, but I think it's actually 721. 723 is the right date on the chart, or it's not on the chart, but 723 is the right date, but there was a progression, and I don't remember the details to that. But 723 is when we mark the fall, and it's the 9th year. So if you know the 9th year is Hosea, 723 is the 9th year of Hosea, and then you just back it up to find out where Hezekiah. So Hezekiah was already there.
It's so interesting how the prophets, there were so many prophets at one time, you know. It's interesting. I always think about that, like how you have so many prophets at one time. Like, man,
So the 9th year of Hosea is the 6th year of Hezekiah.
Yeah, the 7th year of Hosea is the 4th year. So you just said 9th and the 7th. Yeah. Yeah. And that would be 723. So just to try to get your line established, a marker, because that's what you were goaling yourself for, is to get an initial marker on your line, right?
Yeah.
Because that chart does show Hezekiah is at a different time.
Matthew, hold on just a
So
second.
I would do it this way.
And that chart also shows 722 BC is when Israel fell.
But that's not, 723 is back here.
Elaine, say again about Hezekiah.
Hezekiah.
What's the year of Hezekiah when Israel went captive?
723 is when Hosea, Israel, the northern tribes went captive, taken captive.
Yeah, but Hezekiah's reign.
And it's his 9th year of Hosea, and it's the 7th year. I think Phil just said it. The 7th year of Hezekiah's reign.
No, see.
So he did. Okay, I'll put it after.
What's the 6th year?
6th year. Thank you. I'm looking at verse 9 where it says that the 4th year of Hezekiah is the 7th year. So it's 3-year spread. So yeah, you're right.
So
I will draw it. I know. I will draw. Give me a second. I'm trying to look at something.
Is that chart in the Ellen White Bible?
I don't know where we got that chart. I think I have one at my house
it's
too.
from FFA.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know if
Yeah, I think she can look at it where, I don't know where it's at. It has a thing where it says where you can find it online. Because I think I found it online before. Or you might be able to Google Kings and Prophets chart and it might come up the same chart. Because I know I found it online before.
But who made it?
It might be on the backside.
hopefully not the other.
Because I know I've looked at it before.
Don't break it again.
Well, it's not accurate. So what do we need it for? Oh, here. Rose.
Yeah, okay. I
Rose
remember I looked at that
Publishing.
before. Rose, like in the flower rose, right?
Yeah.
Publishing. Yeah, I remember looking it up.
Thank you.
Some prophets wall chart.
Wall.
And there was a lot of different charts there, I think, if I remember right. It's been several years. I guess it sounds right. I do once in a while surprise my memory.
So we need to make one of ours.
Yeah, we need to make one of our own. So back to Hosea. Okay, so now.
It gives the order, and I like that.
Now that we have learned, see, but this is what the point of studying like this does. It,
now we're gonna know.
yeah. So we're gonna put Hezekiah. And then we're gonna put 723.
And put underneath.
And when
6th year
Hezekiah
of Hezekiah.
begins, Hosea has been king for 3 years already.
Not according. 723 is the 6th year of Hezekiah. Right?
Yes, so 723 would be with Hezekiah, same line.
Yeah, I think she's marking the beginning of Hezekiah. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
So if you're marking the beginning, that's the 9th year. 723 is the 9th. Oh, yeah, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking
That's
Hosea.
what Brother
Ahaz.
Phil said.
And what year was it of Hosea?
Hosea?
Ninth? Ninth year, I believe.
9th year when he falls.
Yeah, 9th year.
9th year Hosea. And Hosea started after Hezekiah. No, before
Before.
Hezekiah.
Before Hezekiah, 3 years, I think. 3 years.
So
Put them on underneath the line so we know which one is Israel, which one is Judah.
it's
Should made them smaller. Okay.
I'll just put, because it's not mentioned. I'm trying to go with what's mentioned in that verse. So I'm going to put Hosea starts.
So now that you got
And
all
we'll
this,
say 3 years.
Now what?
what we need to figure out is then where does, it's in the time of this that he gets this, right? But
Yeah.
where are we at? You also got Jeroboam, you did put in there, okay?
So this is the literal, right?
Right.
So how can we figure out when these children were born?
That's what then we need to know where Hosea, how do we place Hosea? We just know it's in this time period. The days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash.
Yeah, I don't know if we can pinpoint a date when these children were born, because it just gives a general time of these kings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're thinking kind of to make an idea of the a waymark of what they represent.
But it also is it like the prophecy is given and then I think anyways, help me if I'm wrong, that the prophecy is given and then all of this happens in this time period. It has to happen in this time period. So maybe it is actually at the beginning because it's identifying 4 generations, which is going to demonstrate who remembers what 4 generations demonstrates. Doesn't it demonstrate a progressive fall as well?
Yeah.
So it demonstrates a progressive fall. So the children have to be later. Hosea gets the words, but we also know that what they're prophesying is this divorce that happens. And the divorce, wouldn't the divorce be 723 BC, right? That's the divorce.
I would think so.
So it's in these days that he gets the prophecy, and then and it's demonstrating a progressive downfall.
Yes.
And then the divorce is 723.
Because even the names of the children, it goes progressive. So the first one is God will saw, the second one, no more mercy, and the third one, you're not mine.
Divorce.
Yeah.
The third one is divorce.
So it goes
Well, that's interesting
progressive.
because you have Hosea. I don't know if that counts. Would the children aren't going to represent a generation? Would they say, well, you're looking at literally in the literal history. Yeah, I have to say that I don't remember where.
Because don't we say the children is the last generation?
Yes. Yeah, yes, we do. I'm thinking that, because I know that Parminder lays this out for a different study, but he lays this out and he uses it, and I thanks Phil for saying I have a memory, but I don't remember the study, where it was at, or even how to show what he was demonstrating, but he was showing when Hosea and Isaiah were there for a purpose when it came to the 225:20s, I believe. I can't remember the purpose, but I wish I could remember the title of the presentation. But it's been at least a year ago.
Yeah, so Isaiah goes to the time of Manasseh.
You might be able to, I'll look up real quick. You might be able to find, using the search of, in YouTube for Isaiah and Parminder. So if somebody titled it Isaiah, whoever did the title, then maybe it'll come up.
What are you looking for?
There's many studies he did on Isaiah.
Come on, Victoria, you know the rules.
All of these guys.
Would it be helpful, because we know the names of the
Where's the chart?
the children, would it be helpful if we knew the meaning of the names of these kings?
Oh, yeah, and we do, I don't know if I have those in my memory banks.
So Uzziah means strength of Jehovah. Jotham means Jehovah is perfect. Ahaz means possessor. Hezekiah means strengthened of Jehovah. Jeroboam means people will contend.
I
I
know.
think it's interesting, somewhere in this history, there's an earthquake too.
Oh, yeah?
I've never noticed this before, but in Amos, it says, because I was looking at the rest
Yeah,
of
in
these
the
to
time
see.
of the earthquake.
Yeah, it was 2 years. It says the words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. What earthquake? That's
Well-
apparently big enough to to put in the Bible.
No,
Yes,
they
but-
didn't have back then earthquakes like we do today.
Well, they
Yeah,
had
what
It
kind
was
of earthquake was
memorable.
it?
An earthquake.
But it
But
wasn't like our time?
remember Isaiah 6,
Let me get that paper so I can write the meaning of those names down on the.
that it should be in the notes.
It's what they're looking up, they have up here right now. So I'll just put.
Because we put Isaiah, we put Uzziah at 9:11. Remember, Elaine?
Isaiah at 9:11?
No, Uzziah.
Uzziah, yes, I think so.
Yeah, because it says in Isaiah 6, in
Wait,
when
wait.
Uzziah died.
If you think about, yeah, because you have to put Manasseh at, we always put Manasseh at the Sunday law, if that's, no, we put Zedekiah at the Sunday law. Manasseh was 1989.
Yeah,
Manasseh was 1989. I had to think it through, sorry. Manasseh was 1989, so it wasn't Uzziah.
No,
But I can tell you, we can
I
look at,
said 9:11.
we can know that Ahaz is covered in Isaiah chapter 7, and that's when Isaiah gets the 65-year prophecy. If you want any of that information in there.
hang on. Let me write this down and then tell me, because I would like to. Jeff was the only one who ever used the names though to figure out what was happening. I always had such a hard time with this study. Ahaz, I never could quite understand what it meant, but I know Parminder supported it too.
The names?
No, the study of the seven thunders with the names.
Oh,
Because I've heard him talk about the seven last kings we can see from this, da da da.
Well, so did Elder Tabo.
Yeah,
He did a study on the 7 last kings and the
yeah.
7 last presidents.
Yeah, I remember that, but it didn't. They did a different thing with the seven last kings and specifically the waymarks.
It says, in the year that Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Don't we say that's Revelation 18?
What? You were singing. What were you saying?
Isaiah 6 says, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims, each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Don't we say this is
we always
Revelation
put that at
18?
9/11, and I don't know if
Yeah.
that has changed. I don't know.
For who? For who is that?
Uzziah, in the days of Uzziah,
We made him what?
9/11.
In the whole earth, that's Isaiah 6,
But I don't
right?
know. Yeah. Well,
It's a different application,
Yeah,
though.
it is a different,
We have to figure out what's happening with Hosea before we know even what line this is to match it to ours. So, okay, so there's the meaning of those guys. And what were you saying, Elaine, about something about a time prophecy? Who was it given?
Well, when it comes to Ahaz, Ahaz is the one that gets the 65-year prophecy that is actually prophesying the 723 as well.
Isaiah.
And that's Isaiah chapter 7.
Yeah,
And
not
it's-
not.
And it's in 742 where he gets the prophecy. Or it's in the year 742 in that chapter. And he's prophesying then within 65 years, and it was what, 19 years later? Yeah, 19 years later to 723. So, but I don't know what year, you're just putting him on there, not necessarily beginning or end.
Yeah. And what happens at 723?
Israel goes in.
Because they weren't faithful. What if that in our time is talking about the Seventh-day Adventist Church? Because this is pretty interesting right here. If you made this the Sunday law, isn't it? Because the SDA Church institution goes into captivity, doesn't it? Because it was
That's
unfaithful.
what I was trying
I
to
don't
say.
know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that because to me, I don't know because my mind is, it's hard to separate from the chiastic structure that this is from 742, not 19 years, and then 46 years to 677, and then you have the.
Where's 742 on here?
It's in there with Ahaz's time. Somewhere in Ahaz's time. When Ahaz gets the prophecy at 742.
Oh, okay. So I can say 742 here,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. Okay, but this is what I'm saying. It's like you have a doom date
Mm-hmm.
and you have the prophecy about it.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that's Isaiah's prophecy, not Hosea, because they're both getting.
They
Hosea is
both
going
work.
to live it out as a parable. And Isaiah is getting the prophecy here, or giving the prophecy to Ahaz. So you got two different prophets. So we're on Hosea. Though.
Because Hosea was more in Israel than Judah. So
Yeah.
even though he talks about these last 4 kings of Judah, he was a prophet in Israel under Jeroboam. So I don't know why he gives these 4 kings of Judah.
Oh yeah, I just posted 2 links, Amazon, you guys. That's 2 of them. One of them is the 2017 School of the Prophets, where he opened up the nature of man. And then the other link is the new Caldoni.
Okay, let's go
well,
further
here's
to
my
see.
idea. Here's what I'm thinking. And I don't know, you can say I'm wrong and that's fine. But I'd say that the first waymark is God tells him to get married to Gomer, and that happens here. So I'm going to say marriage here, because then you have 1,
2 and 3 sons.
3 other
Kids.
waymarks. You know what I mean? So you can put Jezreel,
I know, because
Lo-Ruhamah.
the third one is where they
Lo-Ami.
divorce.
That's fine. Why would that be bad?
Well, because the divorce, I think, would be at 723.
But they divorce here. Oh, they divorce at 723?
Well, if that's when you're no more my people, then what does that mean?
Yeah,
You're no more my wife, you're no more my
they're gone in
people.
captivity.
I thought he was talking about the children. You're no more my people. Because they have the kids before they divorce. They can't have one child while they're divorcing.
But the kids' names represent the divorce, right? The second one represents the divorce. The name means that you're no more my people. We're divorced. So I don't know.
No, this one, the third one does.
Yeah, the third one. And the divorce, I mean, if that's what 723 means, when you're taken into captivity, you're no more my people, right?
But I think she made these 2 kids while still living with him, but going around.
Right.
And after the third child is when she left.
Oh, how about this? Because that makes more sense. So let's say we have it like a regular waymark, like a regular line. So you have Hosea gets message,
And then you have a marriage.
and then you have a marriage, and then you have Jezreel, and then
The big one, Lohu Rahama.
I still feel like Lo Ruhama should go here because look what happens here at the Ahaz waymark, which is interesting. You get the prophecy that you're going to be destroyed. And Lo Ruhama means I'm not going to have mercy on you anymore.
I'm no expert at this, but I don't know if you can do that because you've got two different prophets and two different, kind of like Ipsos, two different perspectives. So
This
would it be at the
prophecy
same
is
time?
about the Israel.
The one that Isaiah does, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but
They
it's,
both are about Israel.
yeah,
It's
that's
just
the
two
main,
separate prophets.
that doesn't mean anything. The point is it's talking about the same group of people that
Right.
God's trying to warn.
Right.
He's using different people to warn
Right.
them. So it's like Isaiah's a second witness at that waymark.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't know that they would line up. I don't have any idea that they would line up. It would be because
Not
they're
in-
both giving different. He's using a different, kind of like us using a different line, and it depends on the story you're telling. And in the story that you're trying to tell, is that where you would put Isaiah and Jezreel at the same place? I don't know.
We just did that. We just did that with Tess, remember? We have the line of the priests where we don't have a message in our time, but then on the big line of the 144,000, it's a different line where you have a different increase of knowledge and formalization that doesn't match the priest lines ones, right? You have another thing and they kind of all line up.
Yeah. Well, you keep going with it. I don't know.
I don't know, but that's what I'm asking because it feels like, because I mean, it's not, 723 is when like we can look at it as a death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would start here.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's progressive, I think, from the beginning. That's what the four kings represent anyways, altogether as a progressive.
Yeah, that's true. Sister, I agree with how Sister Elaine has it as it's starting off with Hosea gets the message and then married and then
Well,
the
that's-
kids.
But I don't know.
I know, I'm just saying.
But I do know that when you talk about the four generations, you're talking about a progressive fall that would be which means it would begin all the way back.
Well, that I agree with.
Yeah, so then you can still have, because it's still progressive. He'll say, okay, now you had this kid and now you're not my people anymore. And
But
it's
you know
not
what?
in that same instant that
But-
Babylon or
And you know
Assyria
what? The
comes.
four kings, they represent four generations, but we're not talking about the four kings of Israel. We're talking about those four kings of Judah. So you'd have to, I think, to do what I'm saying, you'd have to be lining up the four kings of Israel, and we're not doing that. That's not what he's marking. He's not marking the four kings. He's only of Israel. He's marking the four kings of Judah, and that's not their progressive fall. Did that make sense?
Yeah, so
That line, those four kings are not the progressive fall of Judah.
where's
The progressive fall of Judah of Israel. Hosea was Pekah, and the two names that are very similar, and then the one before him.
so is it 4 kings or is it more than 4?
What are you talking
Wasn't,
about?
The fall
wasn't
of
there, wasn't there a study? Wasn't there a study? This is quite a while ago. There's something about 4774. One of the kings, kings of Judah and kings of Israel, were two separate lines, but under the 4 kings came 7 kings, and under the 7 kings came 4 kings.
Yeah, because that's where you're looking at the, and I don't know, I asked the question last week, I think it was, or somewhere about when it came to the 7 thunders, because I think that's what you're maybe referencing, because the seven thunders would represent the seven kings, and they represented this all the way to the fall. But there were four kings, and I'm pretty sure that Parminder stands for that. I'll do it in a second. I'm pretty sure Parminder stands on that. That even though you're the seven, you know, because you can take the seven and go, I don't want to say that because that might be wrong. But the seven is then there are four that are singled out in each line. Whether you have the four kings, the last seven kings of Judah, or the last seven kings of Israel, then there's four of them that are singled out. Like Manasseh is singled out, and then the last three. Jeroboam too is singled out, and then I think the last three.
So the reason why we have the line this way and why we're doing it like this is because this is what we're given.
Right. Right.
So
The
there's
kings of Judah. Right.
yeah. So and the first one, the Jeroboam
Right.
too. And they're all, the point of this story is the fact that Israel is going to get taken captive.
Right.
So that's why it's this way. So normally we would go there, but for some reason the Bible gave us this structure.
The Judah kings.
It didn't make any sense because we're like, they're in Israel. Why are they talking about Judah? But maybe it's because it's supposed to represent something. So if we have them there as waymarks, that's why I'm saying this could be something cool and important. We don't know. It's weird that they would put the kings of Judah in there instead of, because there's a bunch of kings in Israel that passed during that same time. Why didn't it mention then?
Plus, if you take the story of Hosea, I'm pretty sure it's in Hosea. Doesn't it in Hosea, it tells you that your sister, it goes on to talk about how your sister Judah was worse than you. So these four kings of Judah are probably mentioned because it's a lesson. They're going to witness the fall, and it's supposed to open their eyes that they're going to be headed the same direction. Did that make sense?
It made sense to me.
And then when you get to the story of Hezekiah, you also get to Hezekiah after Ahaz. Ahaz gets that prophecy of the fall of Israel that's going to happen within 65 years. And we know that 723 with Hosea. Hezekiah, the first thing, and it says it, the first day of the first month, when he takes over after his father dies and he takes over, he opens up and starts the restoration of the temple. That's a whole other story, but he opens up to restore the temple.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that this is, I mean, honestly, this is the literal line that we're given in this chapter.
Right.
And it's an interesting line to look at it, all the things that are happening.
Yeah, I was trying to find, all I found was an Isaiah 28, a Parminder one by Isaiah 28. And I was trying to find something that might have, because we know he does Isaiah 46. That's a really good study, but I don't think that's the one that he covers that on.
Then let's go further to see if we can find something else that we can
Put on the
put
line.
on the line. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're a little bit stuck here.
I'm going to put under here.
So the question then, just to make sure we got this right. So the names mentioned, the name of the kings that are mentioned are the kings of Judah.
Except
Except for Hosea, right?
Jeroboam. So
And Jeroboam too, and Hosea.
yeah.
But the four kings, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, are kings of Judah.
Yes.
And the date 723 is not the fall of Judah, but the fall of Israel.
Israel,
Yes.
right?
Okay,
But it comes in the time of Hezekiah.
right.
So I'm just gonna highlight Hosea because it's something that we brought in. But so don't pay that much attention to that. That's just for us to kind of understand the time period that we're in. But the reason why everything else is up here is because this is what you have literally in the verse, and then this isn't in there, but it's implied because the whole point of this whole book is, and a few of the books after, is talking about the fall of Israel, which is, it happens this date. So that's why we have this, and we built this, and we're going to see why the Bible gave us this. That's what we're trying to see, and we're trying to gather as much information as we can on this.
Right, I get your logic.
Yeah.
I just want to note that I see 5 waymarks on the top of the line. Is there any way to put in latter rain, early rain, plowing in that?
Most likely, yeah. Yeah,
Can Ahaz be the
the
Sunday
hand.
law? Sunday law?
That would be Ahaz if you were gonna do it that way.
Right, I'm just thinking out of the box.
Yeah, because it comes as a close of probation. So Ahaz would be the
Yes.
Sunday law, and Hezekiah would be what? The loud cry, right?
Yeah.
And then 723 would be the close of probation.
You hear, Adriana?
I know.
Good eye.
I thought about that too. But the reason why we didn't do that, remember, is because we said it's the 4 generations before. That's why we were thinking it was before 1989. But if we decide to
That's
not,
the study I wish I could remember on Parmenter, because he brings that all together, if I remember right, but I don't remember where. I was trying to find it.
but let's not pay any attention to the 4 generations. It's not mentioned here. We're not talking about it. So let's kick out the 4 generations idea, because they've applied different ways the kings anyways, not within the confines
Well,
of our structure. anyways.
Parminder is saying this is the 4
Yeah, that, she
generation.
did say that.
He said this is the 4th generation, but the judgment comes during the 4th generation, isn't it?
What is the 4th generation?
Hezekiah.
Yes, but we have more than Hezekiah on here.
But the Hezekiah is the 4th.
Yeah, of Judah, or no,
Mentioned.
of these 4. Yes,
The
of these
Bible
4.
chose that 4th generation. I mean, Hosea.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's the end, because Hezekiah wasn't the end.
Yeah.
Hezekiah wasn't the end.
In his application, he's right. Whatever he was applying it to, I'm sure he's right that these are the 4 generations. I think we're going to look at this fresh without preconceived ideas, use what the Bible gave us, and see where it takes us. And
I agree with Sister
It's
Angela.
representing 4 generations, but it's not necessarily saying that they are the 4 generations before the close of probation. Because this is discussing the close of
For a year
probation
and
for Israel.
you're not my people, and I'm not
Okay.
So when you take it as waymarks, it doesn't have to be literally exact. When you say the 4th generation, that doesn't mean that they absolutely have to be the last 4.
the last 4 people, like literal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
Is-
bad because you were the
is-
one who started to say this, and we said, no, it has to be 4 generations and before. We're back and forth.
I just wish I
So-
could remember find one of those presentations, because I know he lays this line out, and he does Hosea and Isaiah and Hosea.
Yeah, he had other things in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just not going to pay attention to that, because we're going to get too confused, and God makes things, I think he made this the way it is for a reason. So we can then, if we have 5 waymarks, we're going to say 1989. Hold on.
So I just put 3 links in there, Sister Anna, that if you can subscribe to all those channels, all the ones that I sent you, subscribe to them, and then it makes them easier to find going forward. And
Yeah,
also we'll send you
it comes
notifications.
exactly where it comes 9/11. It's the sowing time, because Jezreel means to sow.
Oh, okay.
I was thought,
Oh, and when do we get the sewing? 9/11.
9/11. Yeah. Okay. So Sunday law, close of probation, and second Advent. I don't know about the rainbow marker, but
I don't know about
why
that.
723 second Advent?
You need to,
what are the 5 waymarks?
yeah, that's right. Okay, that's right.
It's 5 waymarks.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I don't know how that works on here, but
because Sunday law is
that
the middle.
That I get.
Yeah.
And then the 4 dispensations, plowing, early, latter rain, harvest.
How do you make that do that?
It has
We could put it on here. Does it fit? When we look back at the stories, does it fit?
Well, so here's the thing. That's the whole issue that we have, because during this time, I'm going to draw some big lines and then I'm going to make them go away, but it's going to look crazy at first because I'm going to draw over this. You're going to have Israel, and then you're going to have a remnant, right? And during this whole time period, Israel is going down, and then you have the remnant going up, isn't it? Isn't that what's happening in our line? Because
Right.
that's what happened in that time.
Right.
God saved himself a remnant. He always does.
Yeah, but
Not
along the
from-
lines, when
not
you
from
have
Israel.
when you have the decreasing and the increasing, that's always between the waymark of Penniman and Sunday law. So I don't know how you put that on here.
Because it's a parable, and like Parmenter says, you can twist them and flip them and turn them and
It
mess with
doesn't mean
them.
we're right.
It doesn't, but I can still do it. No one can stop me.
That doesn't mean it's right.
Oh man.
This
But-
is why we have the whiteboard. You can put things on and erase them.
Exactly, but you have to think. You have to think.
Right.
If you pull yourself out and you zoom out, right? You know that throughout this history, this movement has been getting stronger. It's logical. This is what has literally been happening. It's been getting slowly stronger and stronger and stronger and smarter and more capable
And smaller.
and smaller, but it's been progressing. That's the point. This whole line is a line of progression. It's a line of line upon line, but there's also an aspect of progression
Yeah.
through the whole thing.
And when I say it gets smaller, don't get discouraged. That's the way it is. That's the way Gideon's army is.
Yeah.
The army gets smaller because people don't want to let go of the things they can't fit through the sifter. Let's just put it that way. The
Yeah.
sifter gets too refined and they don't want to go through the sifter.
And so the other side keeps falling more and more and more, because as Trump comes in and they accept him more and then they accept more of his ways, they keep falling more and more. I mean, it's not like I'm making anything crazy up. It's something you can literally see from experience through these whole lines. It is happening. And so I know that's real because it exists. You can't pretend it doesn't exist. That's been happening. So, and here's the other thing that matches. What is Hosea's job? It's to warn people of what's coming, isn't it?
Messenger.
Yeah, he's a messenger. He's supposed to warn people that this is coming. That's the whole point.
Right.
Our job is to warn people that the second coming of Christ is here. That's the whole point of our job. So, and that's the other thing is that, like we said, wondering why it's getting smaller.
She's talking about the group.
Yeah, she's talking about here.
But I thought she already
The-
responded to
we
that.
vary on our Bible studies, Sister Anna. We vary on the Bible studies. The afternoon is usually the lightest, just because, like I said, some of them come from different time zones. But it'll vary from time to time.
So the other thing is, because here you have Babylon, or in our time, no, at the Sunday law. So that's interesting because at the Sunday law, the papacy is coming on the scene strong again. They're coming out of their scattering. So they're going to be strong there.
And also the group, some of them that join us from Canada, and they go join the Canada group in the afternoon. So that's another reason some of them aren't here. Thank you. I think that's what Sister Christine just said.
So Jezreel equals, so I'm going to erase that because I don't like that nonsense color.
They support their Canada group.
So seeds. Okay. That matches really nice, actually. So you have a message and a marriage. Then you have the first child. Then you have Loruhama and Lalani.
Yeah, so you got the plowing, then you got the seed sowing.
This is interesting because at close of probation, the people are not his people anymore. He's given up. This was the last striving between Sunday law and close of probation is the last striving that he has. And then after this, close of probation, there is nothing. So you are not my people and I will not be your God. So you have righteous as righteous and unrighteous as
I have
unrighteous.
okay, yeah, okay. It seems hard that if it's in 7:23 when that happens, then that to be the second advent, it makes it, I have a hard time reconciling that one in my mind. I get everything you're saying, just when I'm, when we see it as 7:23, it's hard to see it as 7:23.
It's because he says, okay, I'm hands off now. You're not my people anymore. I'm leaving you alone. And it's not like Assyria was waiting for God to say that to pounce on them right that second. He's like, that's it. I'm done with you. And he leaves them. And that's it. And then after a while, Assyria is going to come in and destroy them. Take them away. It's a time period. Isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
But I do like this study a lot.
Oh, good.
Let's go read chapter 2 now and see what we have here.
Well, are we finished with 1?
Do you have any more ideas for one that we can add?
Well, I mean, it continues. I think we got to verse 9, right?
Okay.
Well, 10 and 11 is the two sticks.
Right. That's the 2 sticks coming together.
In 11, the children of Judah and the children of Israel gathered together.
So if it talks about the gathering, that means that what we put on the line talks about scattering. Because after the scattering happens, then he will gather them together.
Right. So could this be another line or a progression? Verses 10 and 11, because they're gathering.
I think 10 and 11 will somehow match with later on.
Chapter 3.
And the second part of chapter 2 and chapter 3.
Okay. So we can leave this as this for now.
Yeah, and then when we have more information, we can come back and.
Well, because the chapter could be giving you a whole big long period of time, right? Which it is, because it's talking about when they all come back together. But then then you go to the next chapter and they're going to do what the Hebrews did and expound on it. They're going to repeat and enlarge.
Yeah, so this is just the introduction, and then it tells you the story.
And then they're going to do, so they're going to repeat and enlarge when he tells the story. So he gives the whole story.
But see, if you, really quick, if you want, in chapter 1, you can take those 2 verses, but in this context, where you would see them all united and happy, and the people are as the sand of the sea, would be after the 1,000 years when they come back on earth, isn't it? Or when they're all gathered together, or whenever the resurrection happens, you know what I mean? Everyone's
Yeah.
But so then you go back and it starts over and starts explaining the details of all of this.
Right.
So this could just be talking about the institution. The institutional level, because it is Israel. So let's scroll down and let's see what else we can find now. Chapter 2, right?
Yeah.
Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sister, Ruhama, plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife.
Who is Ami and who is?
It's
Lo Ami and Lo Ruhana, they just took the Lo out. They nicknamed them.
There must be a reason why they
There's
did that.
a girl,
Yes.
so they're not all boys.
No, they never were. Lo Ruhama is a girl.
And Rama is a girl. And what's the first one? A girl? Or a boy?
Jezreel is a boy, then Lo Ruhama is a girl, then Lo Ami is a boy.
So it's kind of interesting because it says, and to your sisters, plural, Ruhama.
It also says brethren, Ami.
I know.
They're both plural. So it's trying to refer to them as like a
People,
tribe.
Yeah.
Speak to the tribe of Benjamin, to the brethren of Benjamin.
And just another thing to point out, in chapter 1, the order is Lo Ruhama first, and then Lo, is that right?
Yeah, it's Jezreel, then Lo Ruhama, then Lo Ami.
Yeah, so in chapter 1, it's Lo Ruhama and then Lo Ami, and in chapter 2, it begins with Ami and Ruhama.
Yeah, I see
chiasm.
that.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's
One
like
comes
a
back before the
chiasm
other.
something.
Huh?
Yes, it's flipped.
Chiasm, yeah. So one comes back, one, it's a reverse when if you're gonna put it on a chiastic structure.
And then next, even after Ruhama, then it says plead with your mother. So it's going backwards.
Right.
Yeah. Plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked, and lest her as in the day of the what? And set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And I will
looked
not.
at that word set. I don't remember if it was set or I think it was set in Second Psalms or Second Samuel study. And set, it meant to settle into.
But you gotta make sure
You're
that is
set.
Yeah. You gotta make sure that's the same set.
Yeah, I think it is based on the context. It looks like it is.
And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms, for their mother hath played the harlot. She hath conceived them, hath done shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers, that I give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my drink. So what it's taught, so right here, it just went back to this history of her whoredoms, which here, these two waymarks are showing bad stuff happening, isn't it?
Placed permanently.
Hold on, my Bible got in the way.
Put, set, stay, to place permanently, to set, to place, to present.
So this is Gomer's whoredoms. That is so
It's
horribly
interesting
written.
because it makes me think that I know this is kind of like the moral part, but I'm not looking at the moral. I'm looking at the story, okay? But when I look at and I see that what was Hosea not giving her? I don't know if prostitution was a habit or if Hosea was not enough for her, because she says, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my
Because
drink.
My mom-
she didn't realize that he gave it all to her. She went out looking for it elsewhere. And later
This
she
is-
remembers.
My mom explained it really nice to me last night.
This is on the side of religion, because it was part of worship. Going to the temple of Baal, women were going there, and they had to serve like slaves in the temple, and besides that, they were used sexually. So they were used until they became like bones and skin or whatever, and then they would be sold as slaves on the market.
So
That's
it's like
where
human trafficking. back in those
no,
days.
see, because I think from the beginning she had this idea about Baal. You know, that's what Israel did. They went after Baal, right? So she had this idea about Baal, and she said, I'm going to go after him because, see here in chapter 2, she says, because he's giving me food, and he's the one that's giving me everything. And it says she didn't know that I was the one giving her all this,
Wait, what
right?
verse is that? Because if we're talking about verse 5, what verse are you talking about? In chapter 2.
Just a minute, let me.
Yeah, where did it say she was with Baal again?
Yeah, I don't think it says that.
Yeah, that's exactly my point that I was going to hit on.
Yeah, that's what she wants to know, is where does it say about Baal?
Verse 8.
Does it say Baal?
Yes.
Okay.
In what chapter?
Chapter
For
2.
she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal.
Okay.
So now explain your point again. Sorry.
So that's what I was saying. This was not because she loved to have affairs.
But you
It
gotta
was a
remember,
religious stuff.
you gotta separate the literal from the spiritual, because you're going into the literal.
The
that she
literal,
was
she went
seeking
to the
after-
temple of Baal.
No, she was going after men, other men. She was a whore. When you talk about God's people, they were going after other gods. Now, maybe she was going after Baal because she was of a different religion. I don't know that.
That was
part. I
her,
don't know
that's
that.
her, what she was. She was sold like a slave and he went to buy her. I mean, he bought her.
She went in there by herself.
Oh.
Nobody pushed her. It was, she thought that everything that she has comes from some other direction. So she
So-
did not know the reality.
So when
she
it says
played the
after,
harlot.
exactly, when it says I will go after my lovers, lovers is referring to Baal or to other men.
It's a definitely man.
Exactly, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
but-
thinking.
It
So
also talks about Baal in 13, chapter 2, verse 13.
So I'm just trying to understand, just to kind of separate it, because I'm looking at the story, but I also know there is a spiritual application, and we're looking at prophecy, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to get the story.
So what we kind of did here is we made this line. We have the kings that the verse gave us, plus what they're all talking about is this state.
Right.
Then
I get
we added here with the prophecy concerning Israel, and that's Israel's doom. So we added that. We also have the literal, which is Hosea and the children, and Gomer and her whoredoms
Right.
down underneath, and we have ours here on top. So we're kind of looking at it all kind of
I
simultaneously.
know, so I'm just pointing out the literal one right now.
Yeah. So her
She was
whoredoms,
going-
Gomer's whoredoms. That's what I put.
Exactly, that it was, those were real men, and I'm only saying that. I forgot even what I was coming up with, and then Bell was thrown in there. But oh yeah, that's what I was asking, is that Hosea, and I'm talking about the little relationship here, and I'm not applying it to anything, is that Hosea wasn't enough for her. And I was like, was prostitution like like just something that it was just like in her? I don't know, because when Hosea bought her, or however, I don't think it was just like bought her, but he married her. She's saying that now she's not saying in here, but it's implied, because when she says, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread, my water, my wool, my flax, mine oil, my drink, what was Hosea giving her?
He was giving her that, but she didn't know.
Exactly. And I'm just like, what? I know.
I know what you're saying, but the
Yeah.
only way to get into her head is to look
Yeah,
at the
that's-
application of Israel.
Yeah.
Because
know.
God always gave them everything they needed, but they always thought that they could get better stuff somewhere else.
The grass is greener.
Grass is greener. So that's what it is, the story for everybody. Grass is greener. They don't like what God is offering. They go to something else that they think is better, but only takes them to destruction. So we can put grass is greener.
But in reality, God is giving them all those things anyways.
Yeah, so this is,
But they're contributing to somebody else. Now, if I'll try to explain it in a literal sense, because I think Sister Victoria wanted to know if this was literal or not, and why is she going back to those lovers? And I think literally, yes, they are men who serve Baal. But the thing is, this is something that is peculiar to females, because the way it was explained, what I heard the explanation is that females have this chemical called Pitocin, and so it's not unusual for females to go back to their rapist or to their
That goes
abusers.
Yeah, I get what you're
because once they're bonded, that's how they become bonded. So even they're abused, they go back to the abuser.
Yeah, thank you, brother. But that was a good one. But when you just said that, I'm gonna let you know you just raised some eyebrows when you said that.
Because
yeah.
the both can do in our time it's called Stockholm syndrome, where you identify with your abuser or something, and you actually try to protect them.
I
And
don't have any of those.
yeah, no, it depends what people you're talking about with that tosin.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some guys have it too.
But I get Brother Phil's point though, because
Yeah.
I did learn that in my classes about like some of the courses that I took about women going that cycle of the men, the abuser and the victim, and the victim going back to the abuser, with the what you call it, the sorry cycle or something like that. I won't do this again, blah blah blah, and get back. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of deeper than just that.
Well,
but,
because there's an element of religion involved in it, which
Yes.
tends to make people really crazy. Like you have those Catholic holidays where people literally draw blood from their bodies, hitting themselves over and over again, self-flagellation. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's if you grow up with it and it's so instilled in you, and you just keep going back to that, it's a horrible thing. It does horrible things to your body and to your life. But because you have a belief system instilled in it, you're willing to do anything.
Can we say that whoredom is all she knew?
Yeah.
Can we say that was
I
her
was going to
that
say
was,
that.
that was her
And she went
mentality?
back because that's all she knew.
Yeah, that's all she
Yeah.
knew. That's
Because
what
he told her to
that
take
was
a wife of
comfortable.
whoredom.
Exactly.
Yeah,
her life.
because in chapter 1, verse 2, it says, to take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredom. So where she came from, perhaps this is what they practiced.
Yeah. And
No, she was good about a year.
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember because that was impressed in my
this?
mind when I did read
You're
this.
gonna need that.
That was impressed upon my mind when I first read the story. But there was another thought that came to my mind. I can't even. It just like slipped. But let me try to
Make sure you do it right.
remember what it
too.
was. Let me hold on.
Oh, for you.
While you're thinking about that, may I throw something in that just came to my mind?
Certainly.
Could it be, because we're talking about equality, we're talking about women's rights, we're talking about men treating women rightly, restoring women, getting them out of the oppressive mind.
Yes.
Could this have to do something with that?
Yeah, and she didn't like it.
Fell.
Yeah.
Say that again. Say that again.
Fell. Repeat. Encore.
Well, it just came to my mind as we were reading this, and I was just thinking that the time that we're living in now, where we're talking about equality, where we're raising up the women as every equal and every bit equal to men, how we're raising them up. That we're that's where we're supposed to be, and so this story is just reminding me of raising up women to that level.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. I like that thought. And my thought did come back because now I'm not trying to go on this morally, okay? But I'm just looking at the story in its literal sense because this was brought up when I did go through this book and I heard of the commentary and it was like it is true.
I thought it wasn't recording, and I don't want to miss this. Sorry.
Why would Hosea, because God's telling him, right? God is telling him to go marry a harlot. And just think,
Hosea wasn't happy about it.
I know, and Hosea goes around and tells everybody he's a prophet of God. And they're saying God told you to go marry a harlot. And it's like, it's like, really? Why would God tell you to go marry a harlot? And he had to trust God by faith to go do that. Because why would God tell you to marry a harlot? And that's a good point that was brought out in this book when I heard the commentary and when I went through this story, because that is true, especially when that's habitual, when this woman is living that lifestyle. One, sorry, this is raw and this is just my mind, but she's a harlot, so she's already, been around. And so you're saying that Hosea is wanting to be with a woman who's been around and who knows what. And then, dang it, I just forgot my thought. But yeah, it's just really interesting that the fact that she's been through that lifestyle is who knows if she's really changed.
Yeah.
She's not changed, because God is telling her to go marry a harlot. So it's only a matter of time before she starts doing that again. Because you can't just marry somebody up and expect that they're going to change their ways after you marry them if they're already living that lifestyle.
But if you're looking at it as a parable, what's he trying to tell us?
I know, I'm just saying.
Trying to tell us as a parable that, look, this is what's going to happen. This is what you guys are going to do. You're going to live it out. You're going to demonstrate
But
what
I'm
you're going
gonna-
to do.
Yeah.
Wait, before we slip past this was a very important point, and I need to point this out because we're living this right now. God told Hosea, go marry a prostitute
Right.
and have children with her, which was crazy to him and to everyone there. God told Ezekiel, lay on this side and then eat food made by poop, and then, lay on that side and then do this with the stuff. And it looked crazy to people, and no one wanted to.
Naked and barefoot.
Exactly. And in our time, God says women's ordination, equality, homophobia, got to get out of here.
It looks crazy.
It looks time setting. It looks crazy to Adventism.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. But God is trying to say, you have to do this because equality, this is what it's going to look like when heaven comes.
I always knew you were going to look crazy anyway.
You have to look like where you're going.
Right.
Ooh, amen.
So here's a question.
Where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's a question for us to think about. As you said, I am the prophet of God, and God told me to go marry a whore. And can we say in our time, I am a prophet of God, and God told me to love these homosexuals? Now, I just watched a docudrama not too long ago where this homeless woman was getting beaten up by bad people, and this good Christian woman jumped on like the woman to protect her and told the men to go away, and she brought the women, the homeless woman, to a restaurant, fed her, got her some clothes, and all that stuff. So if we ever come into a situation, let's say we are with our friends, let's say we are with our best friend, and a homosexual couple walks by, and your best friend starts talking negatively about that homosexual, can I defend the homosexuals against our best friend? Can we get at that level?
I do it to my mom. So
I've defended.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to work with them, and I'm not saying them as a derogatory way. I just, as people, in that form of grammar. But I'm just saying that, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have my, like Sister Allie, but I see sin as, and I'm not trying to go there. Okay, don't jump me. But I'm just saying that, if you're looking at people committing adultery and all these other kind of things, and that's the moral aspect of it. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, look at homosexuality in that manner, but I'm just saying, if people want to go that route and look at it from that standpoint on a moral issue, that, well, I can't stand them, them living that lifestyle and doing all of that. Well, look at what you're doing, and all these kind of things, and sin is like disgusting. Everybody has things, issues, and it looks ugly. But how you go about it and how you treat people who commit sin or doing that, and please don't judge me when I say that. I'm just speaking as I speak. I'm just saying that if you how you treat them, it says something about you, and so I'm not perfect, but I do I know the message that I'm to teach, and the Lord puts me in circumstances before I was even in this movement to where I had to be prepared for this. So I mean, it really is what it is, and it really does, as we were talking about earlier, it comes down to how you treat people, and that's important. How you treat your neighbor, how you love your neighbor.
Amen.
Okay, so going back to our story of Hosea, I just want to point something from chapter 2. Even though Gomer was a prostitute or whatever, Hosea really loved her, because, I mean, this really represents the love of God to his people. But in chapter 2 says that she goes after her lovers because she said, they are the ones that give me my wine and my oil, my food, my drink, my everything. But it says she didn't know that I was the one, even though she was with her lovers, he was the one giving her the food and the oil and everything. So he was still caring for her as long as he could.
Yeah, and exactly, that's where I was getting to. I was like, what, Jose? And it does. You think about God too, because this is that spiritual application. But I'm like, man, and
he watched over us all our lives.
and he's saying, and she's saying, you're not enough, And I have to I'm saying, man, God, you're not enough, and it's just like, and that's the moral part, I know, but I'm just saying that's just really like deep when you get down to it.
God always used that
That's
same
right.
type of story. Every time you read in the Bible, it says, my what is it? My wife goes a whoring. Like, I loved you and I gave you everything you needed, and you just keep going a whoring after other gods. And
I
you
have
don't.
a big smile because not when he talks about the Shulamite woman, but go ahead.
No, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about all Israel.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Yeah, because
So-
they always kept, every time they kept going after other gods and going after other gods. He's like, stop a whoring. That's what you're doing. And he's like, you know what? Let's put a literal visual in front of you. Hosea, let's go. Because this is how God feels. It's literally showing us how God's feelings are about the situation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, if you read the whole book of Hosea, there is no better representation of the love of God and his church, and not only the love, but how much it hurts when we do what we do.
Yes. Amen to that.
6. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way with thorns and make a wall. This is verse 6, that she shall not find her paths. And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them, which means catch up to them. And she shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now. It's also kind of a little bit of a prodigal son thing going on here.
Yeah.
That's what she just said.
Who did?
Your mom.
Oh, sorry. Where was I?
So I
She
just
came over and
see
whispered it in my ear.
bread is food.
Bread is
So
food.
wool, linen, flax is linen, is so the clothing. No? The richness or anointing is the oil, and drink is moisture or refreshment or the latter rain.
So you have food, clothing, anointing, and latter rain.
At verse 5, when she talks about the bread represents the food. The flax represents flax, and wool represents the clothing, the linen, the righteousness. And the oil means the anointing. And the drink is moisture, refreshment, And we know the refreshing is the latter rain, or the rain, or whatever. So all of that comes from God, and she didn't know that. And that's why he said, I will hedge up, meaning shutting in, fencing, building a wall around it.
But I still that kind of has connection, where it says I saw him, but she could not find. Where does it say that she said I saw him, but I could not find? Oh, and she shall seek them, but they shall not find them. Then she shall say, I go back. That reminds me, and I think it does has a lot. It has some kind of comparison to the Shulamite woman in that, but I'm not trying to go there or hop around like that. But there is a point where she refused, and she's saying that I will seek him. She sought him, but she couldn't find him, and then eventually she does find him. But that's speaking about Christ, and it's not Solomon, but he's what you call it? He's representing Christ, and and the Shulamite woman is representing the church. But I'm just saying, in those instances, she is seeking, and she does find Christ, and that and Sister Adriana, you said that that's not talking about what you call it. That's not talking about Israel, but that story is a parable for God and His church.
Yeah.
So then verse 8 says, for she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. So all the prosperity and everything that she had from her husband, she gave to Baal. And then God says, therefore will I return and take away my corn. So property increase, it's the explanation of the corn.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Kind of way off topic maybe, but in verse 6,
Uh-huh.
therefore behold, I will hedge up the way with thorns. Where was the way hedged up with thorns before?
Do you have an answer?
I think it's going to say later on, because
Yeah, I do have an answer, but I don't know if it's right for this, because then he puts up a wall, right?
yeah,
So when you go back to Genesis, he made the way of thorns and thistles, and then he
Mhm.
blocked the way with the cherubims so that they could not go back the way they came.
yes, but here it implies
Just a question. I don't know if it.
here is like some type of confusion, because she gets fenced in, it's all thorns away around, she can't find the lovers, so it's like she can't go to them anymore. But somewhere in the next verses it says about the wilderness, that he's going to take her in the wilderness. So probably if somebody has an eye for this,
He ends up taking her back, right? Doesn't Hosea
yeah.
end up
yes,
taking Gomer
yes,
back?
but then he
Doesn't bite her
takes her
back.
in the wilderness, and in the wilderness he's going to talk to her, and he's going to make her understand. I will allure her, verse 14, and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the days when she came up out of the land of Egypt. See, it makes the connection with the coming out of Egypt, when she was, the faithful wife. Come on, Adriana, don't
What?
get tired.
No, I wasn't. What happened?
And if you want additional reading during the week on any of this, I know I've read them, but it's been a long time, but the Review and Herald, February 19, 1914. you'll find a series of articles. So there'd be different dates, but February 19 is one of them, 1914, where they're titled A Door of Hope, and it's going through this story.
Yeah, I was looking for something that, because Acre, the Valley of Acre is actually Acon.
What happens?
So this tells the story of coming out of Egypt.
I don't know if he's referencing it, the experience, but I don't know if it's fully telling that story.
Well, it's definitely compare and contrast.
Yeah.
We can read more.
Go ahead.
Verse 8, chapter 2, verse 8. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she hath said, These are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgat me, saith the Lord.
Verse 9.
This definitely is making it sound like Babylon-ish a little bit.
Verse 9 identifies at least the wool and flax to cover her nakedness. So the wool and the flax represent clothing. I think you said wool did. Did you say flax did too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Flax actually, they make linen out of flax.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you looking at this woman? What is the woman's name?
Gomer.
Gomer.
Okay, so and she's the whore, a prostitute.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and on the spiritual level, are you talking about her being a church as well?
Yeah, because she's representing Israel when you read on in these chapters.
Okay, so it's God's church
Yeah.
that has apostatized. Okay, good, thanks. That's all. I just wanted to get that clarified.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's all I have to ask right now.
I think you'll like it better once you see the whole video of it.
I agree. Yeah, it's great so far. So cool.
Yeah. So verse 14, therefore behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shalt call me no more Baalim. For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment, and in loving kindness and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, saith the Lord, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn and the wine and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them, which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my God. So it's hard because literally it's talking from now to thousands of years in the future, and in our line it would be all on the same line.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just a moment of tears. Like from that moment of God saying that, like after you've done all of that, I will betroth thee forever. I love you so much that, even after you did that, I still want you,
Yeah.
and I will prove faithful to you. Man, tears. Sorry.
Yeah, it's intense. It gets you right in the heart.
Yeah.
But how do we apply it?
Well, look at verse 16. It says, and it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shall call me no longer Baali.
So what is
So,
that day?
so in my Bible here, it says Ishi means husband,
Yes.
and Baali means Lord.
Yeah.
So will no longer call God Lord, but more like a husband. So we need to find out if that is that equality.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Whoa.
I saw that the last time when we were going over these, you had the definitions for each one of those, and I was like, oh, so because when you look at Revelation and the marriage, it's an equality thing.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
me go to that one study that the Lord brought to me, and the marriage of 144,000, and the second Adam and 100. Oh, sorry, and the 144,000. That is just. There's a lot of dots kind of just roaming my mind. That is just really interesting.
But the whole thing is, because I've been thinking since this message came in, God had to be in charge of people back in the Old Testament, because it's really intense the way God represents himself to his people. It's like a
What do you mean
boss.
by in charge?
Yeah, boss. Like, I'm the boss of you. You do
So
what I
there
say.
is no equality between us and God.
Let me finish, because you don't know where I'm going. Because in there, that's all they understood. Equality was taken away from them because of sin. So they didn't know how to interact with each other on an equal way. That's the only way they could understand God. But then at the end, now that we have equality, we can understand him on a more equal basis. And that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
That's why Michael, the archangel, presented himself as an archangel, so that all the other angels could get to know him and feel comfortable with him. Anytime if you remember stories in the back, you had two kinds of leaders in like the military: the kind who was really mean to his troops and treated them like garbage, like he was the leader and made them push them. And then there was the one who would eat the food at their table with them and interact and be, among them and get to know them and care about them. And everyone loved that one the most.
Yeah.
That's what God always tries to do. They didn't even know who Jesus was until the whole thing with Satan happened from that line. We're like, he's okay. He's all right. Now we understand. The 2/3 understood, but the 1/3 said, wait, they didn't like it. So
And if anybody wants to know what she's talking about on our YouTube channel, go watch Sister Kathy McGraw's presentations. I don't remember the name of it. It was the first fall or something like that. Somebody remember?
Yeah, and you can just read Desire of Ages, but yeah.
But
I mean, not Desire.
she laid that out really well. Yeah,
Yeah.
she laid that out really well.
But the one that made it the clearest was Tess in her Australia admin presentation.
Yes.
I forget the name of it, but that's the one I'm talking about. And she said it out really clearly, where you could see, wow, equality was the issue. Equality was the issue that hurt Satan, that caused all of this to happen. He wanted to be God. He didn't want to be, in his spot. So here we are. But now we're getting restored back to where we're supposed to go.
Well, amen, because what did Eve want?
He wanted to be first above everyone.
No, I'm talking about Eve.
Oh, Eve. Yeah, like God.
And Satan has no lineage to us. I mean, he can influence, but with that being in our DNA of our first parents saying we want to be as gods, That's in our DNA. So each and every one of us thinks in our mind that we're higher, that we can rise above, that we're better. You know, that she wanted to be better. She wanted to be as God. She wanted to be God. And so for us, that thinking, that mindset was instilled in our DNA. And God is restoring that. But that was only a seed that was planted by Satan that she accepted, and Adam too, when he partook in that sin too, and then we got it. The whole human race was damaged because of that one decision.
Yeah.
And so we're completely being restored.
Because we have to be careful, because it's like,
Yeah.
we can't ever be like God, but he wants to treat us equal to him, which is crazy because we're nowhere near as good. We can't be God ever because he's infinitely amazing. And we just, Parminder was saying, like, how long do you think it's going to be before you're as perfect as God is? Never going to happen. You can be in heaven as long as you want, and it's never going to happen, because that's why God is God. And you're always in the process of learning and growing, even all the beings that are up there right now.
Yeah.
So that's why in Ellen White's vision, the 144,000 look like kid-sized people that have to grow and learn and all of this too. But the fact that God is always trying to come down to our level to get us to understand him and be, treat us like equals, that is mind-blowing.
It is.
It's mind-blowing.
It's blown my mind, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful, and God doing that.
Yeah.
We also get to inherit his throne. So who gets to sit on the throne of God? That's another big thing.
To be kings and rulers, princes, kings and rulers with him. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Quality.
Yeah, because we'll have that which Satan wanted, right? We get that, what he wanted, we actually get. And that's why he's even really jealous.
We don't understand the highness of that calling and the privilege of such a thing and surrender all. We won't be there.
Yeah.
He's given us this as an opportunity and as a blessing and a privilege. But it's up to us whether or not we're going to go all the way through that sifter and nothing left but pure gold.
Wow, this is mind blowing.
Can I read something?
Yeah.
This is from Prophets and Kings 298.1. The prophecies of judgment delivered by Amos and Hosea were accompanied by predictions of future glory. To the 10 tribes, long rebellious and impenitent, was given no promise of complete restoration to their former power in Palestine. Until the end of time, they were to be wanderers among the nations. But through Hosea was given a prophecy that set before them the privilege of having a part in the final restoration that is to be made to the people of God at the close of earth history, when Christ shall appear as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Many days, the prophet declared, the 10 tribes were to abide without a king and without a prince and without a sacrifice and without an image and without an ephod and without teraphim. Afterward, the prophet continued, shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God and David their king, and shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. Hosea 3:4-5. So this is the story of the final restoration, which is going to be at the end of the world.
And to think to be a king,
which is coming up.
Yeah, to be a king and a ruler with him, it's not going to look like this earth where you have, we'll just take the example that we have living today. It's not going to be like a dictator at the top of the pack that demands loyalty no matter what he does. It's going
to be like a people.
Yeah. And
it's going to be like the American government was. It only exists because the people want it.
The
consent of the
Amen.
government. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Amen. No, I'm just saying, it's just excitement. It's like when
it's
you
a
start
beautiful
understanding these histories and knowing, like, wow, what God was trying to give America, what he's trying to give people. It's just, man, people just
That
don't
sounds
know.
quite perfect.
It goes back to this. People just don't know what God has already given them. And yet they seek to go after something that's elsewhere that he already gave them. And once they realize that, whoa, where's all that, that I want, they realize who it really was behind the scenes that was providing them all of that. And then for some, it's way too late. And that's the sad part.
But that's what Satan does, is he makes you think that you need something more, or you're not complete,
right.
or what you have isn't good enough. That's his trickery.
Problem. That was his problem.
Yeah.
And he likes to instill that into other people, that you're not enough, that what God is giving you is not enough. He's like this, and everything that he's accusing God of is what he is. And people tend to believe a lie rather than the truth. And it's just
We've
sad.
seen that with conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm. It's just sad.
Well, it's interesting, Gomer being a harlot, that she then becomes completion to see what God does.
And
Amen.
perfect. That's
And
the thing,
perfect.
because we were all sinners, and it says
Yes.
in the time of trouble, we're all looking at our sin and all the messed up stuff we did, and how can God accept me? And what's the first thing when we see him and he talks to us? He says, my grace is sufficient for you.
Amen.
To cover all your mess ups, and I'm gonna accept you to myself. Oh man, I can't believe it.
And he's taken us back to Eden, which is perfect and complete.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's where we started.
Amen.
Restored.
Yeah.
What did Elder Parmenter say about that? It's more than just looking at the restoration, but there's more. I can't remember exactly what he said, but one of the recent videos he said that yes, we talk about being restored to Eden and the restoration, but there's more. There's another thing to look at, and that thing I can't remember what he said. In his presentation, I can't remember, but he said there's more than just being restored. Oh yeah, that is this circle, or what did he say? That it's going back to being restored, but it's just this. It's a straight line. I can't remember what he
Was he
said.
talking about the nature of man?
No, it was something, because we have this message of restoration, but he was making another point about how it's not just going back to being restored, that there's more to it. I can't remember what he said. I should probably not brought it up, but it's something on my mind that just I want to remember what he said, and I can't remember.
Well, that was pretty good study there.
Yeah.
Are you able to print all this to a PDF?
PDF. I've just been making images of it and putting it on the website.
It's nice if you can put it all in one file and print it to.
This is so beautiful.
You mean
I love it.
No, but this if I do this, it'll be too small on a page. You know what I mean? With my writing the way it is, I'd have to redo it. I know. She was. I heard what she said. Anyways,
I think it's easier for people when they study to have one file.
I know, but that's not how I write things on here.
I know.
It's just this is so much more freeing, and I feel like I can draw and line things up so nice, and then I don't know how to fit these in a way where it's legible, because I have horrible writing.
But I think it's not your fault. But I think it's still nice even if she does do it in the
Doesn't that just copy? Can't you just copy it like an image, and then you can put it in a.
That's what I'm saying.
Copy and paste it into a Word doc and put the text around with it.
I know, but it's gonna be small when that big
You
thing
can't
has.
drag it like bigger, or it would be blurry.
She's saying
No,
like
even if
you
it takes
cut
up the whole page, I'm saying because of how the writing is, it's not gonna be easy to
Oh,
read.
even if it takes the whole page.
Yeah, I've done these before. It always comes out looking off. I can try it, and then you guys can see if you like it, but because I had bigger writing and then smaller writing, so I don't know, but I can try it.
I could screenshot it right off of that if you blow it up. Blow it up real quick.
Looks
I
like
don't know
it's
if I have
gonna
my,
rain.
Yeah, I know, I can do that, Elaine, it's okay.
okay. Okay, well,
It's kind
any
of-
last comments or questions before we pray? I think we're wrapping it up.
Is rain coming?
Maybe.
Wow. Yeah. I have so many things that's going in my head. I can't even put it to words. Yeah, my head is just spinning, getting visions of how good God is. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of, this, when you put things in the context of equality, I'm beginning to better understand the Bible verses, that we thought of morality. When God talks about, when Jesus, he talked about don't be unequally yoked. We always thought that as, well, don't get married to someone who's a Muslim, or don't get married to someone who's a Catholic,
Yeah.
somebody with a different religion. But now it's a whole different light, when you said unequally yoked. And you understand when Jesus says, take my yoke, it's easy, and we're equally yoked with Christ. And like we were saying earlier, here's this God that we can never be God, yet he treats us as equal, and he wants us to be yoked with him, to work with him, to plow together. And it's like all that talk about equality that he's talking about is like it's making more sense. It's just mind blowing.
You just put a thought in my head, Brother Phil, and thinking that with God treating us equal, we have to remember that he is God. You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
yeah, he's humbling himself to treat us as equals, you know, and we have to constantly be mindful that he is God. He's that good. He humbles himself that low that we see ourselves as equal to him. And I think that's where abuse comes in, because people abuse God and humbling himself. You know, when you show your weakness, when you're being vulnerable,
Like
when
Jesus
you're,
when he was on this earth.
yeah, when you're being meek and humble and all of those things, people take advantage of that and want to abuse that kindness and that love. But if you ever remember that he is God, I think that's, instead of wanting to be him or thinking you can be better than him, you know, or do better than him, then it's just really, it really does, that whole belief and understanding of equality is so deep. But it is important to be mindful that we got to remember that God is God, that though he treats us as equal, you know,
He's still God.
exactly. And we can't abuse that love that he's giving us.
Right.
You know?
And that was Lucifer's downfall.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. God's amazing.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
All these stories
You know
we
what?
keep looking at in the Bible now are all coming full circle.
Right.
Amen.
It's making more sense.
Yeah.
They all tell the same story.
Wow.
Sister Ali had something to say, I think.
Yeah, I just sound a little something. It's off track a tiny little bit, but I remember reading a story a little while ago about a little boy, and it was a time during the time of Sister White, when she was married and she was well into her ministry, and she was coming to an area where this little boy lived, and she was going to speak at the camp meeting in the tent. And the little boy was about 6 years old, and he said to his mom, he said, "Do you think I get a chance to meet Sister White?" I think he said it that way. I can't remember. And his mom said, "I don't know. She's a very busy lady. She'll probably be too busy for you to meet her, but you can see what happens," because the family was planning to go to that camp meeting. And so the little boy, he was playing outside of the tent with some of his friends, and Sister White came in with, I think her husband and maybe some attendants. And she reached down and rubbed his cheek, and she said, "What's your name, little brother?" And he was shocked and surprised and told her his name, and he was just blown away that he got to meet Sister White. And the moral of that story is why I'm bringing that up, is because she made him an equal. She rubbed his cheek and said, "What's your name, little brother?" not,
Mm.
you know, everyone. That's what you're reminding me of, especially Brother Fell telling us we're equal to God. You know, we're however you put it, that was really good. Reminded me of that story.
We're
Well,
gonna,
thank you for sharing that.
we're gonna meet Jesus, and he's gonna rub our cheek. what's your name, little?
I just pray to remain faithful.
He knows our
He
name.
knows he's gonna give us
Amen.
new names.
Yep.
That's right.
He knows our name.
Oh, you guys, good study.
Amen.
Who wants to pray?
Well, nobody wants to, I will.
We'd like
Yeah.
to.
A wonderful, loving Father. Lord, I'm speechless. We're just trying to fathom your love for us. You're this wonderful God who created us, who redeemed us, who sustains us daily. And we're just mere mortals. And yet you treat us like you. You treat us as if we are you. And that is just mind-blowing, mind-boggling. And you want each and every one of us, Lord, to be equally yoked with you. So our prayer, Lord, is that we shall always be reminded of your greatness, of your love for each and every one of us, of your tender mercies for each and every one of us, but that we ourselves should be forever grateful for how you treat us, like as if we were you. But let us not take advantage of that, Lord. Let us not take advantage of that kindness, of that love. Let us always remember who you are, that you are God. You are our husband. You want to be called husband and not Lord. So with all meekness, with all humility, Lord, may we not take advantage of your kindness to us, but remember who you are and remember who we are, and always be grateful and walk with you like Enoch walked with you. Thank you, Lord. What can we say but thank you? And may we indeed put our necks in that yoke that you have, that we will plow with you, that we will cooperate fully with you, that we will do all that you do, that we will walk the road that you walk. We will walk the path that you walk. And our path is your path. Your path is our path. So thank you, Lord, for these group of believers, this fellowship that we have, that we're coming to this understanding of what equality looks like. And there's more to come. And we're wild now. And when it opens up fully, Lord, we're just going to be more blown away. And we're going to come to a point, Lord, that we're so wowed by what you're teaching us, what you're showing us, that we're going to be so, if not already, we're going to be so blown away and be so convicted of this being equally yoked with you, that we're not going to have a second thought about about persecution. We're not going to have second thoughts about, wow, can we be like Paul and Silas, to sing when we're persecuted, to sing to our God, not as some psychobabble that psychologists teaches us now, to imagine that you're at a beach or imagine that you're at this happy place. Lord, with all that pain, that's only going to last for 10 seconds, and then we're going to be in pain. But we're going to come to a place, Lord, where we're going to be like Paul and Silas. We're not going to feel the pain. It's not going to be this psychobabble thing. It's going to be real, that even we're bleeding and we have scars, that it's going to be real, that we're not going to feel the pain, that we're going to rejoice in our God. And we're going to come to a place where Jesus, when we're crucified, we're going to come to that place. We want to come to that place where we're going to love others so much that what is done to us, done to our bodies, it's not going to matter. It's all for others. We want to come to that place, Lord. We want to walk the path that you walked. So help us to get there, Lord. Teach us to get there. Protect us, Lord, now protect us from Satan as we now go about your business for the rest of the week until we meet again on Wednesday and Friday and every week, Lord. When we're alone, let us never be alone, but let our minds always be on you, on our brothers and sisters, and the job that you're preparing for us to do, that we may really go out there and lovingly tell the everlasting gospel, to lift you up, that those who can see will see, those who have the ears will hear, those who have the heart will understand. Protect us, Lord, from Satan and his wily ways. May our eyes, our hearts be focused only on you. In Yeshua's mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Praise the Lord.